I did a little bit more last night. Looks like the granddaughter's coming in here. I did a bit to the bike last night, feeding the ProShift electronic gear change, and I tried to marry up some of the carbon fibre to see how it will fit. So the front nose cone is now fitted. With a few little, not really too many issues. It was actually well made for being carbon fibre, this is the project the bike. Most all the panels are carbon fibre. The granddaughter wants to come in and have a look. There she is there. Say hello to everyone. You're on camera. Say hello. You're too shy now, aren't you? She's gone shy. She's not shy normally. So I'm going to do a bit more tonight. I'm going to explain what I did to the bike last night, and we will continue from there. Hi, as you can see, we have a carbon fibre front fender on it. If you look closely, it is quite a very good fit around all the light unit. And the light unit screws with self tappers to the carbon fibre fairing. Now you've got to be careful, the two bottom screws, this one here, these two bottom screws, that one there, focus in on it. Not focusing. I don't want brightness, not focusing. Yeah, that one there, and on the other side. You need to use short self tappers, because if you use long ones, it's not long enough to go through. So because I didn't have any, I put a bolt to make it bigger. I was going to use washers, but the washers I've got are either too big or too small. I needed something to carry a little bit of a surface area. I have ordered the correct ones, but if you screw long ones in there, you will break where the mount has been attached to the carbon fibre. But as you can see from most of it, it's very, very well made for an aftermarket, sorry for the hands, for an aftermarket system, fairing, made by a company called Moto Composites in Canada. Now, I bought virtually everything off them, even the side panels. The inner part of the side panels you can get in carbon as well, which I've done the same. At the moment, obviously we have a screwdriver which is actually got plastic on the inside so it doesn't damage it, just to hold that in there, and I've put temporarily in one of my mirror extenders so you can see a bit better at either side, just to hold that side, because otherwise there's only two bolts holding the frame that holds the headlamp together, and then the unit that's on that. So it will move a little bit until they're bolted in tightly and you have the rest of the panels on, and then it's rock solid. But as you can see, even right ready to the very end of the panels, they are very well made. Now what I found, I'm only standing on my leg at the moment, so bear with me. What I've found is, I'll tell you what, I'll pause it and I'll come back to you. Hi again. What I've found is when you're trying to screw these screws in, there's four of them, there's two here and there's two further up. That's what there's a metal bracket I was showing you earlier on one of the videos that actually holds the headlamp onto the bracket, and there's two bolts at the top then hold it to the frame. Now to get to them, I found it easier to remove the air ducts and then put them back in. It's the easiest way to do it. It'll give you access to getting to those screws easier, because this is one of the screws for mounting to the carbon fibre, and there's a few others. There's two on the top there, there's two on the inner, there's two I think on the outer somewhere, these two outer ones here, and there's one in the middle holding the two headlamps together underneath. The two headlamps together underneath, there's one there. Let's say there's one on the other side here, which you've got to be careful. I've got to have short screws for them, and two where I pointed you, and two in the middle up the top. So there's 2, 4, 6, 7 screws holding all that together, which is more than enough. I'd say headlamp's quite heavy, so after that we can fit, there's like a little I've got a carbon fibre one tray that will go along and cover all this up, which might be one of the jobs I'll do today. But also I tried marrying up with one of the rear carbon fibres, which look very good as well, very sexy, and I've put my light unit in, which are smoked light unit, but they are LED, so they're really, really bright. So even though it looks smoke and you might think it might not be bright enough to indicate, they are super bright. Now what I found, I was saying there was I had to make 2 riv nuts to make the bungee. It's like a bungee bracket that folds out. What I've noticed with the carbon fibre, there's no hole to take the bracket, to take the bolt for the bracket, because it normally holds in here. And these are like a helmet strap holder. You can put one either side, helmet strap through there, then put your seat on. And then unless they cut the helmet strap itself, it will be difficult for them to get to it. So what I found is that there's no holes. So temporary for now, I've took those bungee things off, so I can just make sure everything fits correctly. I've only loosely put bolts in. And also what I noticed is the other carbon fibre I've got for the V piece at the back here, which goes between the lights, is the long one, which is designed to work without one of them, without a thingy. So I've either got to cut that or take the top box bracket off and do without a top box. Now that all depends on the wife really more than anything, because she likes the backrest that is on the top box. So we're going to have to talk about that. And then also I've got a carbon seat cover unit that covers the rear seat. I couldn't use that neither with that particular bracket on. So I've got to make some decisions on that. But what I'm going to do today is going to fit the front fender, I think. And then I'm going to, this rear hugger I got, it was a second-hand one, but I didn't realise I got a new one in with the kit. So this could well be for sale. Unfortunately I won't have the brackets on the other side, because I'll be using that. And I will use the new one, which hasn't been cut for any reason. Don't know why that's been cut, but as I say, it wasn't me who cut it. But it does mount up this side correctly on both holes, and it just probably take a bracket to mount it up on the other side. So I'm going to sort the rear hugger out, sort the brake line with the metal frame, the metal guides that guide the brake line through, and the ABS sensor. Now I'm going to have to take the ABS sensor off the other bike, because this one was a modified one for drag racing, and I'm not 100% sure whether it is actually working. So I'm going to put the one off my drag bike, which I know is working, onto this, because there's a delay back order on getting a new one. And they said it could be up to 4 weeks. Now really ideally I would like to get this in to be mapped next week to be checked. So I'm hoping to get everything into place for them. Anyway, I'm going to leave, I'm going to crack on, and I'll get back to you soon. Hi, I was just about to go and change the rear brake pads, right? And then I realised when I got my brake pads out, I have changed my front caliper to a Brembo front caliper. So these brake pads, which are for a standard ZZR14, are no use to me. So I've got some A3 Plus CL brake pads here for the front for ZZR14. As you see, that's how they look. They're individual pads for each cylinder. I'll try and bring it back so you can see them up properly. Yeah, so the individual pads that will work for each cylinder. I also have a set of rear pads which was sold to me for the ZZR14, but my rear pads are different, so they may be a different one. That's my pad, rear pad, and that's what they've sold me. So it says rear there. The part number on that, if you want to check, is 2282RX. I know the front ones will fit my old calipers, but the rear one I'm unsure about. Now these will be up for sale, or they are up for sale as from now. I will be probably putting them back up either on eBay or whatever. I also have, before I decided to change to the monoblock M4 caliper, a set of Brembo for each caliper. A set of Brembo front calipers and front brake pads. As you see, they're the same. Now we'll be selling them as well. They're no use to me. And for some reason I've got a rear pads for something else here. I'm not sure what it's for. I can search and find out, and I'll let you know in a later video. It's a FA236HH. HH is probably the H sintered pad. And the FA236 will probably be the pad number. I'll have a look in a bit, or found something I've been looking for. I'll have a look in a bit and see if I can get any information of them for you, and I might also have a look for that rear pad, see why it was sold to me as a 14 rear pad. Now my 14 rear pads, as you can see, are totally different. They have one light bolt hole through the pin goes through rather than two. They may well be for something else I've got, but I did buy them originally as a set. Right, I'm going to get back to putting these pads back in. Obviously I've got nothing at the moment. Was going to change them. I will order something. As you see, an anti-squeal shim on the back. You can put a little bit of copper slip on that as well. Do not put any grease or copper slip on that side, on the friction side. Just a little bit on there, not too much, because you don't want too much going over onto the pad itself. So I am going to put them back in, bolt that back up, and then reposition my brake line as I was doing just before. I noticed the pads were different. Okay, I'll get off now and I'll speak to you soon. If anyone is interested in any of those pads, give me a message and I'll see what price I can do for you. Alright, speak to you soon. Hi, I've now re-put my pads back in, and I've put the pin in that assembles the pads in with the spring that is in there with the two anti-squeal shims at the back. That pin, according to Kawasaki's manual, is going to be taught to 17.2 Newton meters, and these mounting bolts here are 25 Newton meters. That's all I can say there at the moment. I've also put in brake pipe guide. Goes round, goes in there. I'm having to tighten this up a bit more because I'm using braided lines which are actually smaller in diameter than the standard line, so I will crimp that up tighter. This bit goes for the ABS. One goes in there, almost like so. But as I say, this is an extended one, so I will swap it for the other one off the other bike before I take it in for my MOT or service or whatever you call it. Before I fit the rear hugger on here, I am going to put the new chain on the other side, so that'll be the next part of the video. I have got a DID X O-ring chain. I think it's in gold until I open the package, just come today, and I will be using a soft link on the system as well, and I will show you how to do that. In drag racing we use split links, partly because we're adjusting the wheelbase all the time and we're checking after every single run that everything's okay. But what we also do is, with the split link, we do lock wire around the split link and do that quite tight, and then we use silicone on the actual link, and then when we get back from every run we check to see if the silicone's gone. If that's gone, we check the lock wire, and so on and so on. So I would not advise them on the road, even though they have been used in the past on older machines on the road. But for this bike with this amount of power and torque, I would use a soft link. I have known them to break, not the soft links. I had one guy who was drag racing a 14, a Gen 1, and his chain snapped, but it actually snapped from the original links of the chain, which is normally unusual. It's normally the soft link that will go, if anything. I was saying that the soft links are pretty good and strong nowadays. They're not as soft as they used to be, a bit tougher, so it takes a bit more effort to thingy it, but I will show you that as I get round to doing the chain next. Hi, as you see, I have it's a DID gold chain. Now on the Gen 2 it's 118 links long. Now the Gen 1 may well be, you see from there, 118 ZB. It is it's a VX chain. It's a 530 VX chain on this. I said it was an XO ring, which is, I think it's slightly different. It might mean an XO ring, but I know some of them do a WO ring now. But this is the one I particularly picked, the VX 530, which is a 530 pitch chain, and I say it's gold, heavy duty. See, it says actually X ring there. Yeah, so it's still an X ring, not a W ring. But your Gen 1 I think is slightly a shorter chain. I might be wrong on that, but double check, because I know the Gen 1 is definitely different in length to the Gen 2. I think it's probably all down to what sprocket size was put on the front or the rear. This is having the standard sprockets on, 42 on the rear, and I think we're 17 on the front. Yeah, 17 tooth on the front. You can see from the rubber there, it's a genuine 17. Not much wear on it. I'd say the bike's only done to a couple of thousand miles, maybe 1,000 and something a mile. Yeah, 17 tooth on the front, and a 42, but it's a Rentals rear, Rentals hardened gold rear sprocket, which is one of my racing ones. I will be ordering a new one for racing and use this one for the road because it hasn't got much wear on, but I might as well use the new one for racing rather than take this off again. And what I've done so far is I've put the chain round the front sprocket. Because I've got this cover off, I work it round from the bottom and then through, grab my arm through the back there and pulled it through round over the rear. But if you're changing your chain, what you can do, once you've split your chain, you can use a link, and you have to carefully try and do this so it doesn't fall off. You could link, and then you could link the new chain to your old chain. So use a link, but I would use it without the O-ring on the back. At the moment this has the O-ring at the back, as you can see. I would use a link it to your old chain, put your new chain on and pull it round until you get access to where the chain is, so you don't have to take that inner cover off. What I've done here now is I've put the O-ring on and put this one on so far now, because as you see on the front of the chain, the O-ring has to sit around that ring, and that ring that's actually on the link itself. I have put them on before now, put them on the shaft and then push them on, but you do have to double check it does sit and doesn't go skewy. Normally they don't, because they'll guide themselves on, because it's slightly tapered, as I can feel with my thumb. Feels like it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on and link it up to the other side, and then show you what we do to press it on with. You use a tool like this, you press it in first. Unfortunately my bit that comes on this bit here, the springs come off there, so this keeps falling off. And then you've got the other on the other side. Now this is the bigger one out of the two that's in this kit. So you have to press it on first, and then you can use the soft link side of it, which I'll show you in the next video, of pressing the soft links to it's like a rivet. They are a rivet really, and then the soft link will, at the end you get like a little ball bearing that presses on that with this kit, but I will show you that in the next bit. I've got to make sure I get the right kits out before I start telling you. Right, okay, I will do this now, and I will get the tool in position ready to press it, and then I'll quickly show you. Here's the tool in place. I linked it through. Make sure your O-rings are all lined up. If I can't quite get into that really from here. Both sides, and then you set the rear up, just fits nicely over the gold bit, the gold part of the link, and this other side will as well, and then you wind it up slowly by hand, and then you have to hold, it's a two-hand job, you have to hold the shaft, one hand on there, one hand on there, and then tighten that, so that actual outer part of the link, the gold part of the link on this side and that side, pressed in enough, but you still need your links to move. If the links don't move and they're very, very tight, they should be as the other ones are, should be as these are. But if they go very, very tight, you've gone a bit too far, and you can press them out a little bit. I find sometimes if you've got something hard on the other side, a little quick tap on the hammer on a wooden block or something will loosen them off a little bit, as long as you don't go too hard too soon. Right, I will do that now, and I will get back to you. Hi, you can now see that's been pressed in, and the links still move. It came to a stop on this particular system because it came to the very end of, see where it's sometimes been touching in previous cases as well. The soft link stopped pressing against that. Now with this system I assume that is tight enough for a soft link. Now when I use my split links, it doesn't go in far enough to get the split link on. So what I do is, this is why I've got these in my case, I basically sit one of them over the top and press it a little bit further, because it gives you more gives you more what's name, and that is loose on. Sometimes they go tight, but your little screwdriver will pull them off again. Now that does look, the gaps between that one and that one look very similar. It can be deceiving because there's a bit of white grease on that one there, and there isn't on that one there. So, and also they look like they're out as far as that. So when I start tightening that, they should flare out and then crush, so you can't get them to chain off without an angle, unless you use an angle grinder. Right, I'll try and do that bit now. Well, I will do that bit now, and I will get back to you. Hi, with this system there's a few various different types of ends and bits and bobs. They're to go on the rear. There's 3 different rear ones. Depends on the size of your rivet, depending which one you use. Because if you look, use one too small, it won't sit correctly on it. So on this chain, it looks like we're going to be using the large one. It sits correctly, so that'll be sitting at the back of the rivet. It shouldn't push the rivet out, but do double check. It should be solid enough. If you feel like it is pushing the rivet out and not correctly crushing it, you can try and use a smaller one. The smaller one does touch on the rivet, but the potential, you've got a lot of movement around there, but it will hold the rivet at the back. Let's check the size on the front. Yeah, it's too big for the front as well, so I think it will be the other one. Because the other one's already flared out, as you're trying to push it, it shouldn't go down the center shaft. Also, we have a few different style of crushing implements. We have all these 4 different styles. There's one there sort of makes it, crushes it like that. There's holes, depending which way, which type of rivets you've got. Now, I would discard these 2 totally for anything because we don't want a hold on it. And that one is not particularly the right shape for what we're doing. And then we have these 2. But as I have tested with this one will sit in the rivet and round, right? But it's so flush to it, it won't crush it in any particular way. So I'm going to be going for this particular one, which will go in the center hole of the soft rivet and then push it outwards, because you should be holding the back there, and that should stop it from doing that. Yeah, I'm thinking of doing, potentially, I could use that device, but the thing is, you've got to hold it there. Yeah, that will stop the rivet from pushing out that. I think it all depends on your preference, really, because that has got the hole in the centre there. That should sit round the rivet nicely, but then it won't go anywhere. I think I'm going to use that one and see if I can connect that up. I'll try and connect it up and I'll show you where we're up to, because I don't want the rivet pushing through the hole of potentially something like that. Actually, yeah, correct myself and yourselves, please listen to this. These hole ones are certainly not for crushing the rivet. I've just realised these are for pushing a soft link out, so it'll go all the way through. Do not use any of these hole ones, as I've just clicked on. Got a bit of a mental block today. Use one of them, which has got the little rivet centre in the middle. Yeah, depending on your chain. Sorry about this, I'm a bit over 6s and 7s, and then I'm going to use that end. I will show you when they're all connected up and device, and now I'll show you what it looked like once one's crushed. Sorry about that, but yeah, I didn't want to give you misinformation, so I had to have a good think about that. Yeah, those ones, when you're trying to push I'll show you quickly with one of these. You want to push a rivet out, which will go through the chain, push it, and push it through the hole. Once it's through, your link will be out. So they're for taking the link out, not for crushing. So I'm going to use this device and that device, and I'm going to connect it up now and I'll show you in a minute. Here's a quick little video of how it goes on. We have that up there and we have that firmly squarely in the middle, and I've hand tightened it, and now I'm going to have to tighten it up properly with the bar. Here we are. You can see it looks, the hole's gone slightly bigger, so that means it's flared it out on the outside than that one. That's how it is, and we still have proper movements in it. I did go as tight as I could possibly go. To go any tighter, I will need an extra manpower. But what I'll do is I'll do that one, and then I'll recheck them both, making sure we've still got that movement in the chain. Okay. Aye. Both riveted now. Both got the movement. After I tightened that one up, I did get more on that one, and then I went back to that, and there wasn't much more I could get on that one. But they both still have movements in it, and they're not tight. Normally when you start getting tight pot and chains, you'll notice it, and you don't want the tension to be too loose like this is, because obviously I've not tensioned it up yet. What I'm going to do now, I think probably put the rear hugger on. I need to tighten up the inner sprocket, and then I can probably adjust the chain then, and get all that adjusted up, and then I'll go from there. See you soon. Right, hello again. I have tightened this inner sprocket nut, which has to be done up to 127 Newton meters, and I've also pinned over 3 sides of the locking washer. Now the way I did it from the top coming down. You can do it from the bottom coming up if your side stands out of the way, but first of all I used a screwdriver which had a metal shaft all the way through, to just pin it from almost flat to almost close to the nut, and then I used an old bolt, if you haven't got the right drift or anything, to knock the rest of it flat, and I rotated the wheel round to do the various. I've done 3 sides on this, which I tend to do that on most things, and when I've took the nut off I have seen them with only 3 sides done from factory. If you feel I need to do all of them, you can do all of them, but I think 3 is sufficient to do, and that is ready for the clutch cover to go back on. I've got some new seals for the clutch slave cylinder. I'm thinking I might as well change them while I'm here, rather than putting it all on and finding out I've got a bit of a notchy clutch sort of thing, which sometimes can be various different things. But I have noticed it on my drag racing bike that it's as you're trying to push the shaft in and out, it's a bit notchy because it's grabbing on the seal and on the dust cover, and dirt and crap gets on it. So I'm going to probably change that. What I'm going to do now, I've started tightening the chain up, but I also use a lace liner, one of these devices. I put it on, and when it's on flat, you can put it on flat against the sprocket. As you see, it sends a beam of light all the way up. This is a Laser Line Pro, right the way up to your inner sprocket. Now, when you're tightening the wheel, if you tighten this side, that will come out like that, come this way towards you. So if the laser liner looks like in this instance it's a bit too far inwards, you need to bring this side out until it's almost like that, so it's perfect all the way along. Yeah, and then you know your chain is straight from your front to your rear sprocket. There is notches on the bike, and I'm going to find out once I've tightened this whether those notches are true to what they've done at factory. They should be pretty close, because if they're putting them on and they're misleading you, well, I suppose their vehicle could be warranty claims if something go wrong, so they should be close. But if you had, for any reason, your swing arm fixed, repaired, modified or whatever, I wouldn't take them as gospel. I would use a laser liner, check your chain is straight, and then we'll go from there. Now, I'm not going to put the rear hugger on because I've got to use my Dremel to trim it. I'll show you. Sorry for the camera going over there. I'll get the rear hugger down now. Rear hugger is very well made, again. superb. That bolt hole lines up, that bolt hole lines up. They've even got one on the rear there, which goes down with the bolt that holds your chain rubber guide on with it. But this one doesn't line up very well. And the way I think I can fix that is this outer edge here, trim that edge right the way off. Yeah, right the way off. You can see there's a couple of marks. I've tried to saw on it, but I need to get my Dremel and get it done properly. When I do this, I'm going to have to use goggles and a face mask, because you do not want any carbon to get into your lungs, because carbon your body cannot get rid of, really. So I will do that when I get my Dremel. My Dremel's in my van, and because I've got my leg off, I don't want to try and get in and out of my van with my leg off. So I'll grab that Dremel tomorrow in the day and I'll trim that off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten the chain up on both sides, tighten up the nut, and then I think I might have a look to see if the front hugger will go on without any modifications, and we'll see what time it is then. As you see, the chain is all on now, just needs tightening up and then the locking off, and then the main nut off. But another little hint that I do when I do this, the main big rear spindle nut, I have a little bit of tension on it. I don't have it tight, because you won't be able to move the wheel going back, but I have a little bit of tension on it, because what I've noticed in the past on a few machines is you tighten your chain up and you get the right tension, and when you tighten that nut up, it goes tighter. So you need to be aware of that and check what tension it is on the chain by how much play you should have in the obviously there's way too much there, but I will tighten that up accordingly. And then I've got a couple of the original stickers to go back on, which tell you about chain tightening and tyre pressures and stuff like that. And we need to see where they were originally put on, whether they were put on the swing arm or on the chain guard. I think on this particular bike they are on the swing arm. Yeah, so that's pretty much that. And we'll see from there. Speak to you in a bit. Hi. Just about to strip the clutch slave cylinder. Well, I have stripped it part down. There's 3 bolts, 2, I've got a thread lock on them, red thread lock. Now these 2 go in there. The third one goes all the way through the casing and screws the whole of the clutch cover to the rest of the bike. Now what I've done is undone those 2 screws. You have a washer here sits on, which I took off. As you can see, the thread lock is on there as well, and when I pulled it out you can see how dirty it's gone inside, and that's due to, looks like oxidization, the alley, dirt that's coming in from the sprocket side, even though there's a sprocket guard on and everything. I've given this a bit of a clean. It was dirty and rammy on the outside, as you can see, and you can tell there's a little bit, if we can focus in on that more than a little bit of rust and that on the inside, on the outer edge, which I've cleaned some of that as well. The inner plunger, you see how dirty it is. This is how it came out, and the seal looks rammy as well. I'm going to change both. I've got all these now, and I'm also going to change the spring. That was notchy going in. When you push that in and then back out, it was quite notchy. It was like more like going sound effects. It's more like going in steps rather than smoothly. So that's one of the reasons I was changing it all. So I'm going to do that now and put it all back together. It's quite simple, really. The plunger come out from in there. So all we need to do now is clean it all up, change the seal, change the spring, push that back in. That's all you need to do, push that back in, and then bolt it all back together with a new gasket. I will probably keep the old ones as spare, because it doesn't look like there's anything wrong with that, unless there's a crack there. No, it's not. No, there's nothing wrong with that one. So I'll probably keep it as a spare. I've got the new stuff as it is anyway. Kawasaki original stuff. I also have a master cylinder kit, which I bought originally for the drag bike, then couldn't find it, so I bought another one. As you can tell, my guy was eating the best. And that's the cover for the master cylinder kit as well. So I will have a look at that. There's the seal, the new seal for the master cylinder, and there's the spring. So I'm going to change all that now, put it all back together, and then I'm going to try and bolt that up to the bike. Well, actually no, I'm not. I'm just going to do this now, and then I'm packing in for the night because it's near 9 o'clock now and I need to have a break. So I will give you a quick read through of a few little extras I've done as well. I've put the sticker on this side for the chain tensioning. I've tensioned the chain up a little bit tight, but these chains will stretch when you initially start it up, so I will check that again. And I've also stuck the other sticker on the other side, which is the weight and the tire pressures on the other side, on the correct side on that. So that's about it really. Since I've been back to here, I've just been checking and getting a few bits together for everything goes. I've also, on the other side of this, you have a castle nut, so as I call them, where you don't have a split pin go through. I've used an R clip, because an R clip is replaced, you can reuse and reuse for a while, where a C clip you should replace it after every time you put one in, take one out. A couple of other bits I've got to order. I damaged the foot peg on the other side, so I'm going to get another one of them with a proper rubber one. The one on the other side at the moment is like a black anodized one, which was I used for drag racing with nodules on. I want to go back to the rubber one for the road. And a few other little bits and bobs. I haven't done anything with the other carbon yet. I've done the front fender, which fitted really nicely with no problems at all. This brake pipe is long. Now what it is because I put the Brembo monoblocks on, the actual bolts for bolting in the brake line, it sits up here, and the original one was a bit too short in length. It was really tight up against the fender, so I put a builder line in from one side to the other, but it's a bit long, so I'm going to order another length, a shorter length of it. I'll measure that and I'll take a good 2, maybe 3 inches off that, and then that should be the correct size for that. All these have to be bled through anyway, so it's just a matter of I might as well replace it now rather than leave one too long. It's not going to catch anything, it's not going to get into anything, it'll rub up here, but they do anyway. It just looks ugly, so I'm going to change that anyway. I've got vinyl stickers to try and put on there if I can find them. If not, I'll have to order them. I think I haven't ordered them yet. That's for the Kawasaki traction control stickers that go on there. And then that's it for today. But I do want to try and get this bike in for the dyno next week. Right, I'll sign off for now. Speak to you later. Now, clutch cover is now back on. We use red thread lock for those two first. I loosely put that one in to start, and then put bolts in there. This one, and this bolt is actually longer than a small one. You've got 3 different sizes. You've got like small, medium, large. That'll be the medium size. Same with that'll be a long one. But I've left these 2 out because my electronic gear change goes in there. So we have different bolts to go in there with spacers. Brings my solenoid out, which comes out above that cover. These are the wires for my live and negative, or say up shift, down shift, whichever way we put it. I put the brake pipe on the lower there. I'm using builder line there, which I've never had a leak yet. I've used them in racing, obviously extreme braking, both in top speed and thingy, and not one leak on them as long as you fit them correctly. That is 11mm. That was a 12mm as of what Kawasaki use. So as I say, that's back on now. I've got my gear lever shift to go on there, which is a short one because it's electronic, as I was saying. And I've got my wiring to do. I want to make them longer to be able to keep it easier to reach because it's a bit of a stretch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder it in, I think. Yeah, I'm going to take more of that off. Sorry, I'm going to take more of that off. I'm going to solder them in because these are too short in length. And that wire, that black blue wire that has to go into there is a bit short as well. So I'll extend that rather than trying to get to where it's in. I'll solder it and shrink wrap it and extend it, and solder it into where that goes. You know, this auto focus is not very good. There we go. Yeah, solder that one into there and solder that one into there. That's a neutral. I know by the solid green wire that is the neutral. The others are certain gears, but I'm not sure why. I'd have to ask whoever fitted it, but I am going to put it back into where it belongs, where it was when I took it apart. As I say, I've changed the seals and that. They're all done now. So that's pretty much thingy. It's cleaned off with brake cleaner, that's why it goes a bit white. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some back to black to shine it up black again. I've put in a cable tie in there to hold these two cables straight. That line's gone up now. I did originally have a Goodrich one which would have flared ends on, but it wasn't long enough. So I've put the builder line one through, and the builder line one is ready to take an end to go onto there. As I say, I'm in two minds what I'm doing here. I don't know whether to get Brembo levers or whether to rebuild that one and use the standard ones. If I was going to Brembo clutch, I'd have to get Brembo brake to make them match. But I believe the Brembo master cylinder will really complement the Brembo monoblock M4s. You really get good cracking braking with them, I believe. So and that's it for today. I've ordered a few bits from R&G. I've ordered bolts from Cobalt, and I've ordered some bits from Kawasaki. So it's just a matter of waiting for some bits to come through, hopefully sooner than later. But tomorrow I will try and might try and get that fender rear hugger cut, get that on. Exhaust pipes on, and sort out this wiring, I think. Right, I'll get off now and I will see you all shortly.